Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Let's Paint a Mini. Alright, so we're doing more of the Doom board game. We're moving on with the Revenant. We're actually getting in the home stretch here. I've done most of the miniatures. This is one of the last ones, but we're doing the Revenant here. As you can see, I've already got a layer of pure black on there, and I will run all of the colors at the bottom of the screen so you know what colors we're going to be using. Alright, and the first thing that I would normally do with this guy is I would do the same sort of color scheme that I did the Possessed Soldier and the Mancubus with, but I'm going to mix it up a little bit with the Revenant. I think the Revenant is a little bit bloodier, a little bit gorier, nastier than the Mancubus or the Possessed Soldier, so we're going to emphasize the red a little bit more. So we're actually going to start with this deep red color. This is just a really, really dark red color. Alright, and I think I'm going to be using my medium-sized Reaper round brush here. This is a one-size medium Reaper round brush. And then I'm basically going to coat all of the parts that aren't mechanical. And we're just gonna go from there. So I'm going to start with the head. Another thing, too, is that I very recently, in the last... yesterday, yesterday from recording this video, I mean, recently got a new phone, and, spoiler alert for anyone who didn't really notice or know this, but, I've actually recorded all of my videos just with my cell phone. I don't really have, a lot of resources, a lot of money to do this kind of stuff, so I just kind of, do it with the resources that I have. Well, I recently got a new phone, and it's a nicer phone. It should be a nicer quality camera and all that. So we're gonna use this and see how it looks. If it looks better or worse, if you notice a difference in the overall camera quality, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Let me know if you want. I still have the old phone that I actually used to record the previous videos. So if I need to, I can just record video with that. So yeah, let me know if you like this camera quality or if you don't like it or whatever, and we'll change accordingly or keep things accordingly, however everyone prefers it. Now it's gonna be kind of hard to get into the neck of this guy, just because the neck goes so far back into this cybernetic jetpack here, but just do your best and just be patient. If you're using this type of brush right here that's got a nice round tip to it, then you should be fine. By the way, sorry if I'm doing laundry right now, so it's one of those videos. Sorry about that. So sorry if you can hear the dryer going on in the background. It might be a little bit loud, but hopefully it won't be too bad. Okay, I'm going to move on to the arms here. If you can help it, try not to get any paint onto all of the different cybernetic bits and all that. It's not going to be a huge deal if you do that, because when we do our dry brushing over all of the flesh and the skin here, you're probably going to get some paint onto the mechanical pieces, and what we'll do from there is we'll just go back over all of the mechanical bits with the pure black so that we can do our steel color over that. So, like I said, try to go around the mechanical bits, but if you can't, or if you make one too many little accidents, don't worry about it. We'll go from there. It looks like he's got, just make sure that you're aware of this. He's got what looks like a little kind of elbow pad, so, on his elbow, so do try to go around that. Okay, I think I've got that arm totally covered there. A little bit on the back of his tricep here. There we go. Now it looks like this elbow does not have that elbow pad, so don't worry about that, but it looks like he does have a little bit of a thing kind of on his thumb here, so just look out for that. Okay, and I've got that arm all covered there pretty much. Okay. I'm going to go on to the back here. Now, it's kind of hard to tell, but I think that his back is actually all just, you know, skin and bones, basically. So, you know, when you're doing the, oh, what's the hip bone? What's the name of the hip bone? I don't remember my anatomy. Well, anyway, when you're doing that and you're working your way up the back, the spine, go ahead and paint this area too, just below the jetpack, because I think that is supposed to be kind of exposed, fleshy skin and bones there. Okay, and you can kind of see some wires and stuff like that coming out of his hips, going down his leg and that kind of thing. Don't worry about those. You know, again, if you can go around them, but if you, you know, if you get some of this red paint over it, don't worry about them. It'll be fine. Now, this leg can get a little bit tricky because I think there are more cybernetic components going around his leg here, or around his knee, rather. So just kind of be careful with those. I think that the kneecap itself and the bone coming down from it, I think that's supposed to be part of the actual skeleton, so I'm going to go over that. But there are a bunch of cybernetic bits around the kneecap here. Just leave those black. Alright, and then he's got some little things on this sort of, oh, not heel, but just on the tops of his feet. So do try to go around those if you can. But yeah, his kind of toes poking out, and then his, you know, the sides of his feet here. Make sure you go around those. One thing that is noteworthy about the Revenant is that he is kind of tricky, actually. I'm going to say that he's one of the more difficult miniatures to paint of the Doom board game. Now, he's still not terribly difficult as long as you just take your time and you're patient, which is kind of what I say about all miniatures, but that's the thing, is that painting miniatures really isn't that bad as long as you're just patient and you're here for the sake of loving it, and you take your time with it, and you just have all the right methods. But yeah, he is a little bit trickier than a lot of the other Doom miniatures. So just take your time with it, and it's mostly because he's so skinny, and because he's got so many you know, little cybernetic mechanical bits going just all over his body that you just need to make sure to really get. I remember watching an interview once of, oh, I forget who it was now, but somebody with the new Doom game was talking about, you know, the monsters that they were designing for the new game, and it was before it had come out, and they were talking about, you know, what they had done to, you know, modernize everything and make it all cool and all that. And they were talking about how the Revenant is just so cool, how it was their favorite monster, because the Revenant overall is just such an embodiment, and it's so representative of everything that Doom is. It's just pure heavy metal. I mean, he's crazy and undead and demonic, but he's also cybernetic and technologically advanced and all that, and he just, you know, the picture of him is just screaming at you, you know, in your face, and that's just so Doom. And I kind of agree with that. I do really like the overall design and the aesthetic of the Revenant. He really is just representative of everything that is Doom. I just think that he looks so cool. I'm getting his guts right here. Okay. We're almost done with the first layer of all the red. Let me touch up these fingers right here. Okay. Just need to get this leg right here. Touch up the back of this heel here that I missed. Oh, I missed like the entire whole back of this leg here. One thing that I do like to tell people is whenever you're in between steps or whatever, or whenever you're finishing up a step, always give your mini a sort of a once-over. Just kind of look over the whole thing from all angles just to make sure that you didn't miss anything, because it is possible to overlook certain areas and overlook certain contours and things like that because, you know, they're not visible at other angles or whatever. So just make sure that you really do look over the whole thing to make sure that you got all of the spots covered that you do really want to cover. I do think that, yeah, that's part of his hip here. Okay, he's got his hips on the side there. Make sure that you go over those. Okay. And I think we've got all of the blood red parts done. As you can see, I kind of left the inside of the mouth there black. Let's go over the teeth, because I think the teeth, we're going to go over them with a sort of tan color to make them look like actual teeth, but we kind of want them to be red in between each tooth to make it look nice and gummy. Alright, and the next thing that we're going to do is, the label is faded off on the bottle here, but I'm going to move on to this fire red color. It's a much lighter shade of red. Get some paint out onto my plastic surface here. By the way, I do always remind people that whenever you've got paint bottles like this, you know, where you got to squeeze the paint out, make sure that you squeeze your paint out onto a plastic surface, and make sure that it is not a paper surface, you know, like a sheet of paper or a paper towel or cardboard or something like that, just because that type of surface tends to absorb your paint and it makes your paint dry a lot faster. That's something you want to avoid. I think I got out way too much paint there, but that's okay. Alright, so I'm moving on to my small-sized Citadel dry brush, and with this you just want to, you know, load up your paint onto your bristles, you know, nice and loaded, and then you're actually going to wipe off most of the paint, you know, onto your surface there. As you can see, you know, the paint is loaded up onto the brush there, but it's almost dry. You know, when I go over this surface here, barely anything comes up. Well, that's what you're going for. So then you're just gonna go over all of the red bits that you just did, and you're going to bring out the color of those a lot brighter. Again, when you do this, you are inevitably going to get some paint onto the cybernetic bits and all that, but that's okay, because like I said, I think what we're going to do after we finish the blood and the skin and all that stuff is that we're going to go over all the cybernetic bits with black again, and then we'll do our metallic color over that. So just kind of dry brush, you know, this fire red color over all of the deep red that you just did, and we'll go from there. Hey, tell you what, you guys want to meet my dog? There's a bupper. Hey, pup. How you doing? Oh, big nose. Yeah. Yeah, her name's Annie. She's a sweetheart. She's a big, fluffy husky, and her fur just gets everywhere. If you're thinking about getting a husky at some point ever, be prepared for the fact that you are going to be covered in dog fur all the time, forever. That's pretty much it. Just dog fur is everywhere, all the time. Now, you kind of get used to it, but it is still something that is to be aware of. Anyway, that was just a little segue into meeting my dog there. She's wonderful. I love her. Paint is kind of slipping off of my plastic surface there. I don't want it to get onto my Legos. I'm just gonna really quickly do this kind of thing here. That should work. Alright, I got way too much paint on my brush though, so I gotta wipe that off. There we go, that should be fine. Alright, move on. By the way, one thing that I do always tell people too is that whenever you are painting miniatures like this, try to hold the mini from the miniature itself. So like if you put your fingers onto, you know, the rocket launcher, or if you hold it from here or something like that, try to do that as little as possible. Always try to hold it from the base like this, just because the more you hold it from the miniature, the more likely you are to just kind of really lightly rub some of the paint off, and that will, you know, reveal the plastic underneath the paint, and that's something that you want to avoid. Now, sometimes you have to do it, you know, sometimes just for the sake of holding it steady, or, you know, from the angle that you're holding it from or whatever. So sometimes you do have to do it, but again, just do it as little as possible. Something that you can probably tell is that I did cut off the original base of this miniature, just to put them on an all-black base like this. I just kind of prefer these minimalist black bases here. Now, there's some people too who do some cool things like messing with the base, you know, putting you know, modeling stuff on there like sand and that kind of thing, and that's really cool. But that's just something that's not really my thing. I just kind of prefer the basic minimalist sort of thing, and that way, just, you know, all of my miniatures look consistent and they don't all have different bases and all that, and you know, you can use them on anything. You know, if you have a, you know, a cool, I don't know, jungle grass kind of base, but then you're using them for the Doom board game, then it doesn't really make sense, because I think it's supposed to be more of a, you know, industrial factory kind of setting. You know, lots of cold and steel and all that kind of thing. So, you know, just, you know, that's something that, I don't know, if you guys really want me to start exploring that kind of thing, I guess I can, because I've done it a little bit before. It's just something that I'm not particularly fond of. I don't know, if you do want me to start messing with some bases and that kind of thing, you know, I don't know, yeah, just let me know in the comments, and, you know, maybe I'll, maybe in a future video, maybe with a Reaper miniature or something like that, like a Reaper Bones mini, I'll start messing with some bases. But that's up to you. It's whatever you guys want. Okay, but yeah, he's looking pretty good there. He's got some nice, good depth there. And this is just the first part that we're doing. We are going to do a little bit of tan skin. Now, we're not going to dry brush tan skin over all of these, you know, red bloody bits like we did with the Possessed Soldier or the Mancubus. Just because, like I said, I think that the Revenant is supposed to be a little bit bloodier, a little bit more crazy, you know, peeled off, ripped off skin and all that. So he's not going to be completely covered in skin. He's just got some kind of, you know, skin flakes, skin fragments just kind of left on his, you know, on the muscle tissue and all that. So we'll play around with that, you know, in the next step. But for now, let's just continue doing this. But yeah, he's coming along pretty well, I think. That's the cool thing about dry brushing like this, is that the first coat that you do, the red, the lower contours, like in between the guts there, and, you know, in between the arms and the hands and the palm of the hand, they stay dark, but then the high contours, you know, like the tops of muscles and, you know, the fingers and that kind of thing, they're going to be this lighter shade that you're going over. In this case, this fire red here, and that gives your mini a lot of depth. Makes it really pop out. Looks really good. I use dry brushing for everything. I don't use any kind of washes or anything like that, but and you certainly can. Obviously, if you do use washes and really cool, you know, painting methods like that, you can crank out you crank out the best miniatures, to be honest. These are not, you know, this method that I have here is not the best method, but I feel like it's something that pretty much anyone can do. And I really like the paint methods that are just really simple, that anyone can do, that are easy to teach, that are easy to learn, because I just think that that's just a cool sort of dynamic. Okay, and I think we're pretty much all done there. Yeah, we're done with the red bit of the Revenant there. All right, and I just rinsed off my dry brush, nice and clean there. All right, and we are going to move on to, you know, just a little bit of some skin and that kind of thing. So I'm going to be moving on to this tan skin color. Get a little paint on my plastic surface here. Okay, And then a similar sort of thing, so you're going to be using the dry brushing method, so you're just going to load up, you know, some paint onto your brush there, but then you're going to wipe off most of it. The exact same way that we did the fire red. Alright, but again, you're not going to paint over all of the red. I just kind of like to do the parts that really stand out. I think that the legs, you know, the front of the legs really stand out. So we're going to go over, you know, the leg and the kind of kneecap right there. Okay. Yeah, that's coming along pretty well. Okay. And then I'm going to do the front of the toes here. Ah! I'm dropping them. Like I said, you just want to hold him from the base whenever possible, just because, you know, if you do hold him by the miniature, it will rub the paint off, and you don't want to do that. So just me trying to hold him by the base right here is just kind of getting a little tricky in some places. So, like I said, I think we're going to do the kind of base of the legs here and the feet. There we go. Okay, I'm going to do the other foot here. Okay, and then the further up the legs that you get, start to kind of apply less paint so that you get, you know, you leave the red more red at the base. Because the guts especially, we're just going to leave those completely the way that they are. I mean, there shouldn't be any skin on the guts there. So, you know, as we work our way up the legs, just kind of decrease the amount of tanned skin that you're using. Do a decent amount, though, on the hips here. Yeah. The bony parts sticking out. I'm going to get the back of his calf here. I think I want that to be a little bit more covered. Yeah, there we go. Looks pretty good. We'll do the same thing over here. Alright, and then we're going to really lightly go over the face here and the back of the head also. Careful when you're doing the teeth. Leave, like I said, leave the spaces of the teeth, you know, a little bit red. And then what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to use a fine detailed brush using this same tan skin color here. And then I'm just going to go over each tooth individually. This tan skin color works for, you know, making it look like, you know, some skin remnants on the Revenant himself, but you can. It also works to kind of bring out some bone-like color. So we're gonna do that. There we go. Just really lightly, really lightly go over the face like this. That looks good. Okay. Get the top of his head a little bit more. There we go. And then I'll get the back of his head. There we go. Yeah, I imagine the back of his head has a little bit more skin on it, but yeah, it's up to you. I mean, the other thing too is that yeah, just kind of apply however much skin that you want. I mean, you can leave him really red and bloody, or you can apply this tan skin color, you know, a lot more. It's ultimately just 100% up to you and whatever sort of aesthetic, you know, design, whatever that you want to do. I mean, that's the cool thing about painting miniatures too, is that it's just whatever you want to do, man, you know? This is your miniature, you do what you want with it. Okay, and I'm gonna do the tops of the arms a little bit, but then as I come down, I imagine the hands are really bloody. I imagine the hands are really covered in a lot of blood, so I'm just gonna leave those the way that they are while going over the shoulders and the biceps and the triceps a little bit here, and then just kind of lightly blending some skin down the hands. Just like that. Yeah, that way the hands are still nice and bloody, nice and red, but you still got you know, the tan skin going on the arms. But like I said, however much tan skin you want to use when you do this step is 100% up to you and whatever you want to do. There we go. Yeah, that way the hands look nice and red there. But then we've also got some skin remnants, you know, going all around him here. Yeah, he's looking pretty good so far. I like him. Okay. And the next thing, well, first I'm gonna rinse off my dry brush real quick. You don't want the paint to dry on your dry brush. All right, and then like I said, I'm gonna move on to my itty bitty, teeny tiny 30-0 Reaper micro detail brush. Little itty bitty brush. He barely even shows up on camera. He's so small. Okay. So I'm just going to use this. Poke a little bit of this tan skin color onto the tip of my brush here, and then I'm just going to really lightly poke, and you know, dab each little tooth there. There we go. As long as you really, really lightly did your dry brushing over the face, each tooth should be pretty visible, pretty apparent, so it should be pretty easy to just kind of, you know, lightly apply this this paint onto there. Each tooth should stand out pretty well. Yeah, that looks great. A whole row of teeth there. And just be really careful when you do this, you know, take your time. Rest your hands onto the corner of a desk or a table. I'm doing this on my coffee table right now. And that will steady your hands tremendously, you know. So I've got my hands just, you know, resting right here on my desk, but if you hold your hands in the air like this, you can see how much more I'm shaking, you know, and I'm trying to hold as still as possible right now. And it's just not, it's not very practical. Like, and the difference between this and this is pretty clear. So, you know, rest your hands onto the corner of a desk or something like that, and that will help to steady your hands tremendously. There we go. Yeah, that looks great. Ah! Sorry, getting a little too close there for the camera to focus. Ah! Sorry, I'm just having fun. Okay. I'm gonna clean off the tip of my brush there. Yeah, I was just using that to just get the teeth there. That's all that I needed. Okay. And the next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to my my one-sized medium brush here. And I'm actually gonna, you know, like I said, we're gonna go back over the cybernetic bits that we got some dry brushing on. We're gonna go back over those with black. So I'm just getting out a little bit more pure black here. Okay. And then just kind of go over all of the cybernetic bits again. Just be careful and take your time with it. You know, try not to get the black onto the skin or the muscle or anything that you just did there. But yeah, just kind of go from there. Like I said, he's got these kind of tubes that are wrapping around his leg here. Looks like they're going into his butt. Just into the side of his butt right there. So just make sure that you get this tube. Looks like he's got a little bit of a gear kind of thing in between his femur and his hip here. So just dab over that. But I don't see it on the other side. He's that's the interesting thing about the Revenant is that the cybernetic bits are all you know, it looks symmetrical at first glance, but then when you look at all the details, the cybernetic bits are actually pretty asymmetrical. They're not the same on each limb. So just kind of take it, you know, one bit at a time, and just be patient with it. You'll be fine. Okay, that's coming along. We got some paint on the end of this piston thing here, the base of his jetpack, so it's to be expected. I mean, that's why we're doing this step, because, you know, like I said, you just kind of look around and, you know, if there's any red paint where it shouldn't be, or tan paint or whatever, then just kind of go over it, and that's the point of this step, basically. Got a little nut, bolt, whatever on the side of his hip here, so I'm going to go over that really quickly. Okay. I think I got a little bit of paint onto little bit of black paint onto the skin right there, but that's okay. That'll look fine. Nobody's gonna notice. You know, sometimes when you do, miniatures, sometimes you might make just little tiny little mistakes there like that, but that doesn't matter. You know, one thing that I like to say is that sometimes, yes, we really do make mistakes, but most of the time, as long as you handle it healthy and they're not huge like that, then nobody cares. You're not even going to care in the long run. You're going to look back at it and something like that and think, oh, that's messing with me. But just, try not to let it mess with you. Try not to let it get you down and just kind of do your best and just look at everything optimistically and everything will be fine. And that's just kind of how I live. And I think that's just a healthy way to do things. Once again, he's got this little kind of tube thing coming out on his thumb, so I'm just going to lightly do that. Okay. Alright, and he's got the same thing on the, that elbow pad I was talking about earlier. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. I think I've got all the black parts that I want to be steel colored. I think I've got those all black. Pretty much. I think that looks good. Once again, always give your... See? Do it from all angles. Hold your mini from all angles when you're doing this, because sometimes you might miss something. And okay, sorry about that. My battery actually died halfway, or, well, in the middle of me trying to do all that there. So I had to just kind of stop recording for the day. So from my perspective over here, actually, it's the next day, but that's not going to be the case for you guys. Anyway, so all I did, I think, before my camera shut off there, was that I just finished painting this black spot on the back of his shoulder pad here. And we're still just touching up all the different cybernetic bits with all the black. This back leg here in particular looks like it needs to be touched up, so I'm going to go over it. Okay, that looks pretty good. Pretty happy with that. Okay. I'm going to give that mini a once-over just to make sure that I didn't neglect any little cybernetic bits that I needed to get black. I think we're good. Okay, so I'm going to rinse off my brush. Alright, and the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to the actual steel color for the Revenant. We're going to be painting all the cybernetic bits, on his knees and the actual jetpack and all that with this honed steel color. It's this color right here, honed steel. Alright, so the big thing is that we are going to be dry brushing the steel color over the jetpack. The big jetpack. Yeah, excuse me. It's early in the morning the next day. I'm still waking up, sorry. So we are going to be using dry brushing for the jetpack, but here's the thing. It's a little bit more difficult to do that with, the pieces, coming down his legs, basically. You could probably get away with doing it on the side here, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to move on to my small-sized round Reaper brush here. This is a small 0-scale brush. And then I'm basically just going to dab a little bit of paint, onto the tip of this brush, and then just kind of paint over each little cybernetic bit individually. On his knees, and that will bring it out. It's going to be kind of like dry brushing, the idea is that I want to paint all of the high contours of the cybernetic bits, but I want to leave the inner lines black. It's just that it's going to be a little bit safer, a little bit easier to just do it, the good old-fashioned way instead of using dry brushing for this part. So just kind of look for each, like I said, each high contour that looks like it is its own cybernetic bit, and then just go over those. Okay, that knee is about done there. Okay. Yeah, that knee looks pretty good. That looks nice and solid. Okay. Next I'm going to move on to the other leg here. So just kind of take each little cybernetic bit individually. Tell you what, I'm gonna get the sort of hose thing on his back leg here. But then I think I am going to use dry brushing for the rest of the cyber bits on his leg here. I think I've got enough. Contour difference between the leg and the cybernetic bits in order to get away with that. Let's see. Next, I'm gonna just use this same brush to poke some paint onto this piece on his thumb here. There we go. Okay. And then all along his arms, each arm, he's got a bunch of little pieces that are individual little dots and all that going along his arms. So I'm just gonna poke those. There we go. That just kind of brings out the little hoses, I guess you could call them, on his arms. All right, I am just gonna dab the back of this elbow pad here as well. Okay. Now I'm going to rinse that brush off really quickly. Alright, and then like I said, I'm going to move on to, I'm going to move back to my small-sized Citadel dry brush. And then we're just going to do the jetpack and then the little space on the side of his leg there. Coming along pretty well. So he's about done, I would say, actually. Yeah, just kind of looking over him. The last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do the eyes and the sort of lights coming from the center of his jetpack and from his back, and probably from the for the cannons as well. And we're going to do a neat thing for those. Nothing special, just a little thing. But other than that, I mean, yeah, like I said, we're almost done here. Man, I do like the Revenant. He is cool. Like I was saying earlier, he just looks like pure heavy metal. Just that look on his face, the screaming and the look, the bloody, gory, cybernetic look that he has. It's just awesome. Yep. It's kind of hard to hold him at an angle without hold him at an angle, have him show up on camera, and hold him from the base. But I think I'm getting away with it here. Yeah. Well, I think I did get a little bit of steel onto his shoulder there a little bit. Didn't mean to do that, but oh well, that's alright. That's not hugely noticeable. Just be careful and take your time with this. Yeah, one thing is that if you are dry brushing the steel, you can still get some of the steel color onto the skin bits. It's going to be pretty easy to do that. So just be really careful. But it's going to be a lot easier and more tricky to dry brush all of the skin colors and stuff like that after you've done the steel colors. So it's always better to do the steel color second to the skin. Okay, and then I'm going over the side of this leg here that I was talking about earlier. Okay. Yeah, coming along pretty nicely there, I think. Okay. Yeah. And like I said, we're almost done. The last thing that I want to do is I'm just going to touch up the eyes and the light sources coming off of his jetpack. And to do that, I'm going to go back to my fire red color. Don't really need a lot of paint here. I'm just going to poke a little bit of paint out. There we go. And I'm going to go back to my small-sized Reaper round brush here, this 0 scale round brush. And I'm just going to poke each thing. I'm going to start with the eyes, I think, while my point is sharpest. Just going to poke the center of the eyes, the interior of the eyes, basically, with this fire red color. There we go, they're nice and red right now. Alright, I'm going to do the same thing with the center of this jetpack, because it glows as well. Get the cannon here, the cannon bits, or the rocket launchers, the shoulder-mounted rocket launchers, whatever you want to call them. There we go. Okay. And then the back of the jetpack. This is when you glory kill the Revenant from behind in the game. The Doomslayer just shoves his fist right into the center there and just rips out a bunch of stuff. Alright. And once we've got all of those points set in there, I'm going to let those dry, so I'm going to give that just a second. Okay, and I think that's dry enough. It's a little tiny bit wet, but that's okay. All right, I'm gonna move on then to really brighten up the light kind of dynamic. Is we're gonna do the same thing that we did with the Mancubus, and we started with that red. We're gonna go over those with sun yellow. Once again, you need very little paint for this. All right, and I'm just gonna continue using the same brush here. But the idea here is that you want to leave a little bit of a red rim. I'm going to start with the cannon just because it's the easiest to see here, the rocket launchers. But you want to leave a little bit of red in the rim, but you just want the center of the whole thing to be yellow, and that'll kind of give it a sort of light kind of look, an energy sort of look. Yeah, like that. That looks okay. Yeah, it's not the most perfect way to do this, not the fanciest, but you know, it's a pretty simple way to do it, and it's nice and satisfying. So, same thing here. I'm just going to poke the very center of each eye. There we go. Yeah. It looks crazy. I love it. I love that he's just screaming. I'm just going to do the back here, and that's it. And then we're done. Not, you know, the most perfect, but it's just right. It's just the right amount of work and just the right amount of stuff to do in order to make them look good. So, and the last thing that I'm going to do is, I say this with every video, I really have very repetitive language, so if you, I guess, if you do watch all of my videos, I guess I'm sorry if I repeat myself a lot. But I do this for all of my miniatures, and I just apply a layer of matte varnish here. This is just kind of a layer of kind of extra protection, helps to make sure that the paint doesn't fade off, get chipped off, or anything like that. And it also just kind of does nice things to the colors. It just kind of makes the color contrast a little bit nicer. It darkens the darker colors, it brightens the brighter colors. It just makes everything look a little bit nicer. And I'm just using an old, crappy, flayed brush here to do this with. You don't want to use a really nice brush when you're doing the varnish like this, because the varnish can mess with your brush a little bit. So just use an old one that you know, you use as like a base coat brush, or you know, something else that you don't have a lot of emotional investment in. So yeah, just kind of coat the whole miniature in a nice even coat like this. I think I need to get out a little bit more, actually. I don't think I got out enough. Whoa! Holy crap! What the heck? What even happened? Where did that blob of paint come from? Whoa. Whoa. I don't even know what happened. I guess I poked a little bit. I guess I got my brush. Shoot. Alright, whoa. Ooh, holy crap. Alright, let's try to fix this really quickly. I just rinsed off my brush really quick. And then I just kind of going over it with water here. Oh, wow. Never done this before. This is freaking me out. Yeah, just getting some water there, rinsing that off. Okay, let me grab a paper towel. Just do this before it dries. Holy shnikey. I have no idea how that even... I am more tired than I thought I was. Wow. Okay. There we go. I think we saved him. I think we were able to preserve most of the stuff there. But you know what? Now that I'm looking at it... Wow. Alright. Let's go back to my small brush here. Hopefully this... Yeah, I've still got some silver here. Let's go back over this, this foot thing here. I think I neglected to go over it earlier anyway, so... Let's just do this. There we go. Wow. That was embarrassing. That's a first time. I really did not mean to do that at all. Man, I feel silly now. Okay, but look at that. Everything turned out okay. Looked all right. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my varnish. And I'm just going to finish the legs and everything. There we go. I think I still have some water on my brush, so the varnish is showing up really thick on that leg right there, but as it dries, it will disperse and it will even itself out. Alright. And that's it. We're done. I think that looks good. I think despite that crazy kerfluffle that I had earlier, I think that'll about do it. So anyway, thank you everybody for watching. That's the Revenant from the Doom board game. I think the last thing that I'm gonna do is the Cyber Demon, and I don't know when I'll be able to get around to him, but hopefully soon. But anyway, thank you everybody for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, go ahead and throw it a like, and if you'd like to see more miniature painting, and if you'd like to see Doom stuff in general, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Thank you again everybody for watching. We'll see you next time on Let's Paint a Mini. Bye.